Hi, I'm Jane Skinner, and this is Sunday Best. Tonight, it's Saddam Redux. We'll bring you last week's Fox News coverage of the amazing capture of the world's #1 tyrant. You'll see Greg Palkot on the scene where Saddam was captured. Bill O'Reilly weighs in with Democratic candidate John Kerry, and Robin Williams entertaining the troops in Baghdad. All this plus more of your favorite #1 shows on the Fox News channel right after the headlines. This is Sunday Best.
Hello, everybody. I'm Paige Hopkins. Major cities across the nation increasing security in response to the raised terror alert level. The government saying we are now at orange. That's high alert. It's the second highest level on the Homeland Security scale. Homeland Security Secretary Tom Ridge says threat indicators are, quote, perhaps greater now than at any point since September 11th. He says attacks are possible during the holidays, but that extensive and considerable protections are in place across the country. Retailers are concerned about how the terror alert could affect what's left of the critical holiday shopping season. The nation's malls have been jammed with shoppers, but some companies have been disappointed with sales so far. Now they're worried about whether the terror alert will keep last-minute shoppers away. The impact on sales could be felt as early as tomorrow. Joint Chiefs Chairman General Richard Myers tells Fox News Sunday about 100,000 U.S. troops will remain in Iraq through 2004. The Pentagon is planning a modest reduction in troop levels from 131,000 to about 110,000 by May. Many hoped more soldiers would be sent home now that Saddam's been captured, but experts say the security situation is very complicated because many rebels are still active. Libya agreeing to open nuclear activities to spot inspections by the UN's nuclear agency. Now, this move follows Muammar Gaddafi's announcement that he will give up his nuclear weapons programs. Libya admitted it was developing the fuel for nuclear weapons, disclosing a program more advanced than previously believed. And road tripping this holiday season may cost you more than it did this time last year. Gas prices averaging $1.51 per gallon. That's up 6.5 cents over last year, but down from several weeks ago. Prices remained stable over the last 2 weeks due to lower wholesale prices. Sunday Best continues right now. That's here on the network America Trust for fair and balanced news, the Fox News Channel.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jane Skinner. It is Sunday night in Studio A. It's hard to believe it was just 1 week ago that this news studio and all the Fox News studios, the edit bays, the newsroom, the whole place was jumping as we brought you the sudden capture of Saddam Hussein. All the Fox News power was put into covering this amazing story. We're going to show you how that memorable event played out. We've got the O'Reilly Factor, Hannity and Combs, Fox and Friends. But first, the day after, and Greg Palkot's tour of Saddam's hiding place.
This is where the former president of Iraq spent his last minutes of freedom here in Iraq. This is a very, very small crawl space, about 6 foot by 8 foot. We're working our way down here. It's unbelievably tight, unbelievably squalid, smells bad. Much room. There's a ventilator here, a fan. That's where he got his air. It looks nothing like the palaces that he built all around Iraq and how he lived. And on that night, Saturday night, when the soldiers, the Special Operations Forces approached, and U.S. soldiers, he came out. And the words are these, and he spoke in English. I am Saddam Hussein. I am the president of Iraq. I am willing to negotiate. And a U.S. soldier replied, we send our regards from President Bush. And that was it. And he was pulled out, I am told, rather strongly from this location and whisked away. I have dirt all over me. I guess there's a little bit of Saddam Hussein's dirt on my shirt and my pants. He was whisked away very quickly, and of course for interrogation, which he continues to be under. We talked to Colonel James Hickey. He's the commander of the 1st Brigade combat team here that led that mission. He expressed deep satisfaction. We've been following his patrols and searches and raids for the past 8 months. They've been looking for this guy for a long time. They got him, and I don't think they expected to find him in quite this kind of condition. I didn't expect to find those conditions either.
Greg Palcott in the spider hole. For more on this incredible story, we turn now to Bill O'Reilly. Last week, the significance of the capture of Saddam was felt all over the world. It was very early Sunday morning that Fox first broadcast the breaking news. The capture and the aftermath take up much of this week's Sunday Best. Now, Bill O'Reilly and presidential candidate John Kerry.
I got some rapid-fire questions here. No question President Bush is helped today by this, right?
Well, I don't know what you mean by that, Bill. I think America is helped by this, and I think that Iraqis are helped by this. What happens in the long term politically is really premature, and who knows?
Okay, but at the top of the program, he defined his re-election campaign by saying, look, I'm going to talk about security. That's it. I'm not going to answer any specific questions about how I screwed up, weapons of mass destruction. I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to say is I'm the guy to keep you safe. And you're going to hear that for 1,000 times between now and next November.
And that is precisely why I'm the best candidate to lead the Democratic Party and to challenge George Bush, because I have the credentials and I have the record and the history to point out that George Bush has not, in fact, overall, on a global basis, conducted this war on terror in a way that, in fact, makes the United States as safe as we could be, Bill.
But perception is reality.
I know I can do it.
But perception is reality. Now, President Bush is going to get a 60% approval next week when the new polls come out. He's going to get a bump up. He's going to be in the 60s. And I might point out, I've known you for a long time, and you beat Governor Weld for the Senate up there. A lot of people thought Weld was going to beat you. So I don't count you out on this. But I will say two things. Number one, this is a defining moment for Howard Dean. All right, I don't think you're going to beat Dean in New Hampshire no matter what you do. But he could start to slip back. He didn't look good today on his foreign policy deal. And if Saddam Hussein starts to give up WMDs and links to al-Qaeda, Dean's through. Now, they're going to come after you then, Senator, and say, look, you weren't going to give us any more money here to administrate, and now we know X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. But that's not true, Bill. You see, I said specifically I'm prepared to do whatever's necessary to support the troops. But I want to get it right. George Bush at that time was unwilling to do what's necessary to try to take the target off of American troops, to try to reduce the risk to Americans, and reduce the cost to Americans.
You can't sit there and tell me you're going to convince France, Germany, and Russia to kick in because they're in bed with Saddam. They're not going to kick in.
I beg to differ with you, Bill. I spent time at the Security Council before the vote. I've talked with leaders of those countries. I'm telling you, they are prepared to do what's necessary if we behave in the way that I think is important to bringing people to the table. But when you just say, here's my way, do it my way,
you think
I think you got a real problem.
Look, Colin Powell's about as diplomatic as they come. I mean, he's Mr. Smooth.
It's not a question of whether or not Colin Powell's diplomatic, Bill. It's a question of what you put on the table.
What would you give France? What would you give them? Would you give them the contracts?
Look at this. If they were willing to put troops on the ground, yes.
So if they were willing to put troops on the ground now, you let them bid on the contract. So you'd give them a contract.
You bet I would.
You're almost bribing them, though, to do it.
Oh, come on, Bill. I mean, Halliburton has a no-bid contract, and
they're the only company in the U.S. that can do it. There's nobody else can do what they do.
Bill, one of the great mistakes is approaching something like Iraq and believing that you're better off just doing it the United States all by yourself.
Why did Gore endorse Dean? You have any clue why he did that?
You have to ask him. The people are going to decide this, not
but
individual endorsements.
You know these guys. You know everybody knows everybody. You have no theory on why he did it?
I don't bother spending my time with that. I'm out work. I've just come from Iowa. I'm in Chicago now. I'm going back to Iowa tonight. I'm meeting the people who are going to make this decision. And those are the
any
ones
theory on Hillary Clinton keeps buzzing around, all over the place? I mean, what's she doing? What's she doing? You know? I
think she's speaking out. I think she's speaking out. She has no intention of getting into this race, Bill.
Yeah.
This race is between Howard Dean, myself, Dick Gephardt, and the people who are there now.
As always, you can catch Bill O'Reilly in his No Spin Zone each weeknight beginning at 8 p.m. When we come back, Senator Orrin Hatch on what Saddam's capture means for the commander-in-chief.
I believe the administration is benefiting greatly from this because George Bush has had the guts to say we're going to protect American rights, we're going to fight against terrorism wherever it is in the world, we're setting a standard, and it wasn't wonderful to see. And for the whole Arab world to see, here's a man that's killed upwards of 1 million Muslims, by the way, who left the beautiful opulent palaces that he was in to reside in a hole in the ground. I mean, to me, that tells it all.
Top news debaters Hannity and Combs on Monday night weighed in with Senator Orrin Hatch in this segment on Saddam's capture.
You heard what Joe Lieberman had to say. Is that a Democrat who makes sense?
Actually, you know, I don't want to hurt Joe's chances, but Joe's a fine person. And frankly, if the Democrats got behind Joe, they'd have a much better chance than they will with these far-left people.
You know, I keep hearing...
Gore,
go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
You were going to say.
I think Gore is still angry over the last election, and naturally he gravitated to the anger candidate. And you know, I personally believe that you know, Joe is a very good person. He's a very good man, and he is national security oriented, which is the way John F. Kennedy and Scoop Jackson and the others that they mentioned really were.
There is a big debate in this country, though, about what the course should be now with Saddam captured and whether we should have been there in the first place. Whether we should have been there, of course, is a debate that's over because we're already there.
Yeah, I think that debate is over.
But is there another position, other than President Bush's position, that would be an intelligent position for Democrats to take going forward so that during this campaign there's a good, healthy national debate on our foreign policy?
Well, actually, we're there. We're there for good reason. We're there to let the whole world know that we're not going to tolerate terrorism. We're there because the United Nations did find weapons of mass destruction 10 years ago, and frankly, a little longer than that ago, and that we know they had them. We don't know where they are. We don't know whether they've been taken out of the country, but now that we've captured Saddam Hussein, we have a chance of finding out where they're located, whether they're in Iraq, or whether they transported them out of Iraq.
What would you do with Saddam Hussein to get that information? Would you favor any kind of torture?
No, I certainly wouldn't. I think one of the things that's really become apparent to Arab nations, other than small segments of the radical Palestinians, happens to be how fairly he's being treated. First of all, given medical aid, treated in a decent, honorable manner. We're making it clear that he's going to have justice that he never gave to almost 1 million people that he personally helped kill. The mass graves are all over that country, and I think it's starting to dawn on Arab nations. The United States as not only a credible country, but one that is humanitarian-oriented and decent, and where the rule of law is very, very important and abided by.
Hey, Senator, always good to see you. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and all the best to our friends in Salt Lake City, where I love to visit, by the way, and some of the best skiing in the world. Let me ask you this. The president's approval has jumped in one poll. Washington Post polled 10 points. In another poll, it's up significantly as well. We know that things change. People forget. That we move on politically. How important is this, what has happened here yesterday, going to be in the upcoming election? And, I mean, for example, could Howard Dean win in spite of the great success the president's had here and in Afghanistan?
Well, I suspect the next election is going to be quite close, and whoever the Democrats nominate will be a credible candidate, because most all of them that are running are pretty credible. But I believe the administration is benefiting greatly from this, because George Bush has had the guts to say, we're going to protect American rights, we're going to fight against terrorism wherever it is in the world, we're setting a standard, and wasn't it wonderful to see? And for the whole Arab world to see, here's a man that's killed upwards of 1 million Muslims, by the way, who left the beautiful opulent palaces that he was in to reside in a hole in the ground. I mean, to me, that tells it all.
I'm looking at these pictures now, and it really is just astounding, the man that had brought so much fear to so many people for such a long period of time, basically was living like a homeless man in the New York City subway system.
Well, that's right. Well, here's a man that was spending $25,000 for kids to go and kill themselves bombing Israelis and others, and for terrorists to bomb people, and he wasn't willing to fight for what he believed in. He just meekly submitted after lodging himself in a hole in the ground. I mean, my gosh, if that doesn't send a message of what cowards these people are, I don't know what will.
Yeah, and the fact that they would send so many people out, quote, for jihad and all these promises of virgins and et cetera waiting in heaven for them, but yet they themselves would never do what they would send other people out there to do. You know, when you look at the entire landmass of Iraq and the thought that somebody could just dig a little hole in the ground, you know, it's the equivalent of the state of what, California in terms of size. It is just incredibly amazing to me that we were able to find him.
For the best debate show on television, it is Hannity and Colmes weeknights at 9 p.m. Eastern. When we come back, the leader of the force that caught Saddam joins the crew on Fox and Friends.
Did you ever have any intel that he was hiding in a hole?
Well, I would say we didn't specifically know he was hiding in a hole, but what we did know is over time we continued to whittle away his support structure. We continued to pick people up. We continued to detain individuals that we knew were supporting him, and I think over time that whittled down his protection. So although I couldn't tell you we expected to find him in a hole in the ground, we did know that we were getting closer and closer, and finally we were able to pick him up.
Welcome back to Sunday Best. Next up, Fox and Friends had on the man in charge of the troops who pulled Saddam from his hiding place.
What is going on right now? We understand intelligence operations underway right now in and around Baghdad, and there might be another major capture.
Well, again, we've continued operations today. We've continued to conduct our normal operations, working the intelligence that we get every day. So we continue to have operations going across the entire area of responsibility.
General, if you would, give us a thumbnail sketch of Operation Red Dawn.
Well, what occurred was, of course, based on some intelligence that we had gathered over very long periods of time, whittling it down to what we believe are close friends, associates of Saddam Hussein, we finally got a piece of information. An individual gave us information of his exact location, and we were then able to action that extremely quickly. And as it turns out, it was accurate information, and we were able to pick up Saddam Hussein.
We understand that when you first surrounded the farmhouse, went in, did a sweep, you didn't see anything, but then your attention was caught by a couple of men running away. Is that accurate? How exactly did you go from looking at a farmhouse to all of a sudden saying, hey, let's pull back that rug and lift up that styrofoam hole covering?
Well, what we've learned from the time we've been here is they do a very good job of hiding weapons and individuals around these farmyards. We use metal detectors. We're very used to going through areas very closely and cleanly to make sure that we've picked up all of the contraband that we might find. So when we originally went in, of course, we didn't see him readily. He wasn't able to be seen readily. So we just did a little more extra work. And as they went through that extra work, they uncovered this rug with dirt over the hole.
General, what's it like being in the presence and maybe going face to face with a guy that you've been looking for and lost so many men looking for, and finally all happened for you on Saturday? What was that like?
Well, I didn't personally go face to face with them. Some of my soldiers did, obviously. And I believe it's probably they were first satisfied that their mission was complete. The first thing they always think about is that individual mission they're on. I think they're very happy about that. And when they first found him, they realized that we are, in fact, making progress here and really making a significant impact on the future of Iraq and the future of our overall mission. So, of course, all the soldiers were extremely pleased about that.
Well, General, you know, we've had military analysts on over the last couple of months, and they said, well, you know, Saddam's probably traveling around. He's got a whole bunch of, he's got a posse essentially protecting him, and he's traveling from house to house every 3 hours or something like that. At any point, did you ever have any intel that he was hiding in a hole?
Well, I would say we didn't specifically know he was hiding in a hole, but what we did know is over time we continued to whittle away his support structure. We continued to pick people up. We continued to detain individuals that we knew were supporting him, and I think over time that whittled down his protection. So although I couldn't tell you we expected to find him in a hole in the ground, we did know that we were getting closer and closer, and finally we were able to pick him up.
Well, a number of your guys were there when they pulled him out and realized that they had Saddam.
Fox and Friends, cable's #1 morning news show, comes out of the gate 7 days a week, beginning at 6 a.m. Up next, we switch topics. The blizzard of '03 that wreaked havoc on the East Coast. It was something Bill O'Reilly didn't factor into his travel plans.
This is a special edition of The Factor, Countdown to O'Reilly. Will he make it?
Yeah, I'm right on the entrance of the Lincoln Tunnel. I need St. Bernard's, you know? But now I'm racing to try to see if I can do the back end of The Factor here, because we have a really good program tonight. And I know you'll do a good job, but it's like a game now.
Hello, everybody. I'm Paige Hopkins. The Department of Homeland Security raising the nation's terror alert level from elevated to high. Fox News correspondent Greg Kelly is live in our Washington.
Paige, tonight the United States is officially at a high risk of coming under a terrorist attack. That's upgraded from just this morning. Let's take a look at the chart from the Department of Homeland Security. It shows that before we were at yellow, which means a significant threat. Now the country is at orange, or high risk, just one step from the top alert, red, which is a severe risk of terror activity. Now, the level where we are now calls for greater vigilance from citizens. Be on the lookout, they say, for anything unusual. For law enforcement from the federal, state, and local level, it means beefed up coordination and security, particularly at high-profile sites. In New York City, police are deploying at public places and landmarks. Now, the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, Tom Ridge, made the announcement this afternoon. No specific threats cited, but concerns that potentially we face terror attacks more severe than we have ever seen.
The information we have indicates that extremists abroad are anticipating near-term attacks that they believe will either rival or exceed the attacks that occurred in New York and the Pentagon and the fields of Pennsylvania nearly 2 years ago.
Well, Ridge also said that al-Qaeda may attempt once again to use airplanes as weapons. But even with these warnings, the government is not suggesting that people change or cancel their holiday plans, but they do urge everyone to be on the alert and ready to report any suspicious activity. Paige, back to you.
Greg Kelly in Washington, thank you so much. More headlines in about 30 minutes. Sunday Best continues right now. That's here on the network America Trust for fair and balanced news. We report, you decide. The Fox News Channel.
Welcome back to Sunday Best. I'm Jane Skinner. Time now for a big story for a good part of the country, the early December snowstorm. Even the great Bill O'Reilly got caught in the messy white stuff. John Gibson had to fill in for him as Bill was spinning his wheels literally.
Hi, everybody. I'm John Gibson, keeping Bill O'Reilly's seat warm right now while he plows through the snow, trying his best to beat the odds and get here before the end of the hour. This is a special edition of the Factor Countdown to O'Reilly. Will he make it? Will he get stuck in the storm? Let's check in with Bill right now. He's calling us from somewhere in New Jersey. Bill, where are you?
Hey, I'm right on the entrance of the Lincoln Tunnel. I need St. Bernard's. You know? Hey, this is what's going on, Gibson. I started the day in Orlando, Florida. Why I left there, I have no clue. I mean, that's how crazy I am. We flew into Allentown, Pennsylvania. So it's the closest we could get. And now we're driving over. I landed at Allentown, Pennsylvania about 4:45. I figured I had a shot to get 3 hours and 15 minutes to go 80 miles. Forget it. But now I'm racing to try to see if I can do the back end of the Factor here, because we have a really good program tonight.
We sure do.
And I know you'll do a good job, but it's like a game now.
Hi, I'm John Gibson. No, I'm not. You guys have no idea what I did to get here. You have no idea. I was riding ponies through the snowdrift.
We should tell you, John Gibson will be out of commission for a while. He took a spill on his horse, but he's doing okay. He is our favorite Fox cowboy, and we wish him well. Speaking of cowboys, Willie Nelson would be the answer to this question. Who is the most famous, most loved, most prolific singer-songwriter, and one of the biggest selling country singers of all time? Willie appeared exclusively on Fox magazine. Here's the guy with the big voice and the winning smile. The magazine caught up with him before an appearance at a special Johnny Cash memorial concert at Nashville's Grand Ole Opry.
Doesn't feel like I've slowed down a lot. I don't think so. But I'm not complaining, you know, things are okay.
Out and cry. And they showed the clouds how to cover up a clear blue sky. And the tears I cried for that woman are gonna flood the big river. And I'm gonna sit right here till I die.
The music itself has a long life. In a good song, You're Cheating Heart, or Great Speckled Bird, or any of those songs are still great songs. They never get old, and there's always guys like me who want to do them again and again, and always a lot of people that want to hear them. It's because I think it's a very simple truth presented in the simplest way. It's just there's some sort of connection in the human spirit with this music and the lyrics and the feeling and the emotion that comes from it. I've written, you know, some songs that I feel like will be around a while. And I learned from some guys, from some songwriters whose songs, you know, Floyd Tillman, I Love You So Much It Hurts, and so many great songs that Bob Wills, Cindy Walker, that I grew up hearing these songs and these melodies, and being an amateur writer at the time, I tried my hand at writing all different kinds of music, including those kinds. Now I have a show that I can I can put it all together and come up with a couple of hours of pretty good music. I played the Ryman Auditorium, and, you know, I've done things that I dreamed about when I was a kid doing, and I got to come to Nashville and do all these things, and there's something about Nashville and Tennessee, and I lived up in Ridgetop, up in the ridges and hills and country up there, and it's beautiful. Well, I come here, you know, a couple, 3 times a year, and have a lot of friends here, a lot of family here, and you know, it's one of my favorite places in the world. I lived here for over 10 years. Well, over the years, I pretty much know that every year there'll be some, I'll go to Chicago, or I'll go to this place or that place, and I don't really try to tell them where I want to go. They usually set up the itinerary, and it's, if you're with a good company, it'll usually be a good tour. And if it's not, you can always change. When we toured with the Highwaymen, of course, we had our families with us, and I think there was like 278 pieces of luggage on that tour. But we all hung out together, and we did have some good family times together, and had some Thanksgiving in Australia and things like that. And John and I like to hang out, and we tell each other stories, and he always liked a good joke. But during the Highwayman tour was about the only time that I had an opportunity to really hang out with John. There's probably about 40 that I do every night, but I always do Whiskey River and On the Road Again, and Always on My Mind, and Angel Flying Too Close to the Ground. John, in June, did Christmas shows, and they were doing one in Switzerland. And they'd invited me and Waylon and Chris. And we were having a photo session, by the way, and we was there, and the photographer said, what's all this about? I said, well, we're promoting a tour in Switzerland. Doing a Christmas show, and this photographer said, well, why are you doing a Christmas show in Switzerland? And Waylon said, because that's where Jesus was born. And the photographer said, oh, okay. But anyway, that's how that...
Some good memories of life on the road. And if you like that Christmas story, you can pick up Willie's Country Christmas album at willienelson.com. And later tonight on Fox Magazine, catch country great Janie Fricke. When we come back, Jermaine Jackson breaks down while defending his brother Michael.
Why does it hurt so much?
Two controversial newsmakers appeared on Fox News this month, and the results were real and quite revealing. First, we have the big story with Rita Cosby, looking for some answers from Michael's brother, Jermaine Jackson. Then Lawrence Taylor on Fox and Friends, talking sex, drugs, and football.
Why him? Why pick on us? I mean, there are so many other people that needs to be attacked. And to do so much good and to bring happiness to so many people and to give so much in charity donations, probably the most out of anybody, and to bring these type of allegations on him, it hurts. A lot of us cried.
Does it hurt him? It's hard for you to hear this. Why does it hurt so much?
Because we were raised to respect the mother, the father, and to love each other. And those humble beginnings, those small beginnings, back in Indiana, and to sort of become successful in a world that is just so much despair, and all we have is each other, and we hold on to that. And
this has been really tough for you and your family, right?
We're family. That's what we are. And My mother is strong, my father's strong. We're even stronger together. But we didn't know that from those humble beginnings, the success would bring about this. The world doesn't love.
You put in this book, brutally honest. It took you a few years to put together. How hard was it to talk about not only the games, what happened after the game, but what happened after football?
Many times I said to myself, you know what, I'm not going to put out this book. I forget, I'm not going to do it. But I decided, you know, I made that commitment to this project, and I stayed with it, and we put it out, and it was, I think it's a good book. It tells it like it is, and is pretty honest.
Your will, according to some, made you one of, if not the greatest player of all time. You'd willed things to happen on the field. Other people, when it comes to breaking an addiction, say that's the worst thing that could happen. Your will hurt you in getting off crack. Do you buy that?
Well, you know, guys, it's like this book. This book is not for everybody. You know, people say, well, a lot of people are talking about, well, you know what? He got away with this and he got away with that. Well, this is what I'm trying to show you, that an athlete, I could play with the games of football. I mean, I could play games of football. Right. I could skip this and skip that and still do what I had to do, but I cannot cheat the game of life.
One guy is not going to buy the book, and it's Boomer Esiason, a quarterback during your era. He's ripping you. Take a look what he just said, saying this is not the NFL I played in. You know, I don't know what LT's doing. Now I have to explain what crack cocaine is to my 12-year-old watching this as we break down the book. You didn't take too kindly to that review.
Well, actually, you know, I'm pretty much over what Boomer Esiason said. You know, he has his opinion. He got to do what he got to do. If he didn't play in that NFL, I don't know where he played. I'm not sure, because I'm a type of player, and I knew what everybody around me was doing. You know, if I wanted to depend on the guy beside me, my defensive tackle or the linebacker behind me or the safety behind me, well, I got to know what he's into. And I think it's a problem. If you don't know what your players are into, then you got a problem.
So do you think we should give a pass to athletes with drug addiction, or should they receive the same treatment under the law as you and me? Email us at sundaybest@foxnews.com. Up next, Geraldo Rivera goes head-to-head with Dr. Henry Kissinger.
Were you surprised by France and Germany and Russia all being so ebullient in their expressed happiness over these events?
No, they want to back a winner. As long as we are winning and they don't have to run risks, they will support us.
Does it buy time for the plan to work?
We have no choice. There is no exit strategy from Iraq except success.
No coverage of the Saddam capture would be complete without a segment from At Large with Geraldo Rivera. So here we go. It is Geraldo with the always opinionated Henry Kissinger.
Were you surprised by France and Germany and Russia all being so ebullient in their expressed happiness over these events?
No, they want to back a winner. As long as we are winning and they don't have to run risks, they will support us.
As long as they have nothing at stake?
As long as they have nothing at stake, or as long as they can't achieve what they were trying to achieve by opposing us.
What do you see then as the biggest impact? Is it psychological? Is it political? Is it military?
Well, it's on several levels. Within the country, those who are fighting in order to restore Saddam will be discouraged. Those who came in from the outside and who are fighting us also must have a new sense of the capacities of the United States and maybe a foreboding of what's going to happen to them.
Does it buy time for the plan to work? Does it buy time in the hearts and minds of the American people?
First of all, we have no choice. There is no exit strategy from Iraq accept success. And the American people have been pretty sturdy, but undoubtedly it gives the American people a shot in the arm.
What was your reaction?
Well, my reaction was enthusiastic. I know the people who've been involved in these operations. Jerry Bremer used to work for me for many years, and I have great respect for the way the president has conducted this. So I was elated.
Who told you?
I got it on television.
Just watching Fox News, I hope?
I was on a treadmill, in fact, watching Fox News.
I'm glad you didn't flop off there, but quite a moment, though, wasn't it?
It was a tremendous moment.
At Large with Geraldo can be seen every weekend. Check your local listing. Well, up next, Robin Williams says, "Good morning, Iraq."
You know that they caught Saddam, his first words were, "Johnny Cochran, Johnny Cochran." "Get me, Johnny Cochran." Staying in a little mouse hole, he's down there in this little spider hole. Even the rats are going, "I can't bite him, it's redundant." They've already rented that place out, which was people going, "It's a basement apartment, the fixer-upper." Look, 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 look. See the everything here. Does it have cable? Come, look, look, look. I like the fact he came out and immediately said, "I want to negotiate." Little late for that, whoopsie.
That is Sunday Best for tonight. We brought you a lot of our coverage of the capture of Saddam Hussein, certainly one of the biggest stories of the year. Well, it is time to give Studio A rest now until Fox and Friends moves in the morning. But we're going to leave you laughing tonight with a stand-up routine from Robin Williams entertaining the troops in Baghdad. Have a great night.
Good luck, big people, thank you. I hope this... Oh, man, you've been watching Nickelodeon even here. Nanu, what's up, Mark? Candy for everyone. Little gifts from Michael Jackson. But you're too old. People over there, what's up, my peeps over there? Head down, let me take off this silly camouflage. Yeah, this works. It's a desert, you Why are you dressed like a tree? Even the Kuwaitis are going, "There's one bush, hide behind it." I want to, that they caught Saddam, his first words were, "Johnny Cochran, Johnny Cochran." "Get me, Johnny Cochran. I want the baddest to defend me." Or Gregory Peck, "Now, Saddam, where did you hide the boy? Where are you going?" Staying in a little mouse hole, he's down there in this little spider hole. Even the rats are going, "I can't bite him, it's redundant." They've already rented that place out, which was fun. People are going, "It's a basement apartment, the fixer-upper." Look, 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 look. See the everything here. Does it have cable? Come, look, look, look. I like the fact he came out and immediately said, "I want to negotiate." Little late for that, whoopsie. Sorry, you're not in that position right now, buddy. You're lucky you don't end up in the cell with a man named Bubba going, "You my Baghdadi now." Yeah, baby. Yeah. It's not gonna be death for you, We're gonna play a special game. Find the cruise missile. Everybody out here, thanks, man. This has been a great honor. This is a joy to be here. And no, thank you. Thank you. No, shakran, thank you.